and hit play within the looper. So that's what it turns it into. I was always fascinated by the sound of this particular effect pedal over here called the Mood Mark II by Chase Bliss. I like the way you're able to record audio into it and then pitch it down using the clock knob. Curiously, I thought to myself, is there a way to replicate this using Ableton plugins? And so I started messing around with Ableton's looper device. Because if you crank down the speed, it ultimately does give you a similar sound. And combine that with a Max for Live device called Ambi, we can get some really cool sounding ambient pads. So without further ado, let's dive right in. It's an audio track that has this following effect chain here. This Ambi effect is a Max for Live device that costs, I think, like $9. And it's basically just a tool that is mapped to a variety of these effects that you can see here. The main essence of this device comes from the clock knob and the looper. You see once we tweak this, see that the speed on the looper is then changed. So without explaining too much, let's just load a couple of sounds, preferably something that has some tonal character to it. I'm going to go into Roya. Maybe go for some chord type material, filtered chords, why not? Some more chords. Something like this. Yeah, maybe a simple ARP works too. I'll just play the second audio clip over here and hit record on the looper. I think that's enough, so we'll stop. Also stop the clip playing here. Now if you hit play on the looper, that will play independently, meaning that we already have the audio inside the looper here. You see? It's playing within the looper. And it loops flawlessly. Where it gets interesting is when we tweak the clock. Now you see it's pitching it down by 7 halftone steps, which is a perfect fourth. Another one down gives you an octave. And you can see if you're working with chord material, it stays in tune. It's almost like it's playing a chord progression, so you could reset it back. And when you turn down the clock, it also enables this redux, giving you more white noise in the top end, emulating this very retro style. The lower you go, the less bitrate you have. But of course, decrease the dry wet on this redux so that becomes less intense. Yeah, once you crank up delay time, the shimmer is more of a high-end reverb, and the reverb here is more cavernous, more low-end. I'm gonna blend those two in. Mess with the decay times. And if you want, you could also reverse the sequence here. Pitch it up a bit, maybe. Now it's playing in reverse. Cool. So remember we played the second clip. This is in the scale of C minor. So if I want to create something on top of this, I will start with a piano. So type in grand piano, go into instruments, and let's load up this stock Ableton piano. Sounds a bit neutral. Yeah, crank down the tone, the brightness. Maybe give it a bit of an attack, make sure that it plays on soft. And now, of course, I could play in chords manually using my keyboard, but if you don't want to do that, you can also grab this free Max for Live device, which I've shown you a couple times before, called Random Chords Generator by Mario Nieto. There's two versions. There's a free and a pro version. Just to show you, I'm going to use the free version. Open it up, make sure the scale is set to C minor. The input is also minor. And now if we record on this, we could theoretically play it using our computer keyboard or our MIDI keyboard. So these are all in C minor. Let's give it a bit of reverb by sending it into our sends B and C. B is black hole, C is echo. So now theoretically we should be able to just hit play here. We have our sequence playing, our looper here with Ambi. And now we can play chords. Maybe mix them in so we hear the chords more. So I'll give it a bit more volume. Play those chords at a lower octave, preferably. And while we're doing that, we can mess with the clock here. Let's keep on messing with the clock. Ooh, yeah, 19 halftone steps sounds really cool. Maybe increase the decay on both of these reverbs. And if you're tired of the stock sound, you could load up something else like a really cool sounding piano. My favorite one, by the way, is this one. It's called Noir by Niels Fram and Native Instruments. What I usually do is crank down the color, and the tonal shift, and give it a bit more output volume here. Let's do it again. Yeah, completely different vibe here. Soft felt piano. And the cool thing about this random chords generator device is that you can randomize the inversions. So if you hit, let's say, the same note over and over, it gives you different octaves on the individual notes of that chord. Ooh. Maybe you could also randomize the velocity, meaning that some notes will be played softer than others. And you can also enable the randomization on the delay, which delays the individual notes of the chord, giving you more of an arpeggiated sequence, aka melodies. Wee-ya-ya. I'm still just pressing the same note. One single note. Maybe let's play different notes. And in the meantime, you could also freeze your reverbs. Crank up the wet. So it becomes like this eerie ambient pad. Beautiful. Let's crank those down for now. Hit pause, and you can always clear your sequence here and play a different sample. So let's say we want to go for something more happy. Hit record. Hit stop. Also hit stop in the session here. And hit play within the looper. So that's what it turns it into. This one's really nice. So remember we played, which one did we play actually? It was this one, the third clip. This was in B minor. So if we want to play chords, we go back into the random chords generator, change it to B minor, and now whatever we play should be in key with this loop. Let's maybe not randomize these. That's so beautiful. Maybe just lower the octave on the root note. That is just amazing. And you can always hit this button over here, which is MIDI capture. It captures your MIDI. It's always listening. Love it. And the cool thing about this is that you can map this button by hitting Command M and tweak one of your buttons on your MIDI keyboards. For example, I have it mapped to my Faderfox PC4. And while you're having fun jamming, you can pitch down the clock at any time. Oh, that's nice. But I like this one the most, -7. It's so beautiful. And I'm already getting a bit more inspired for adding some new stuff on top. Now I have my Digitakt running in the background. I don't know if you can see it. It's the drum machine that's blinking like crazy here. And I have a few pre-programmed drum patterns, so whenever I need some drums on the fly, I can just load up the Digitakt Overbridge plugin. Now I need to make sure that this track is dialed down so it doesn't explode when I load it up. So let's hit pause and let's hit play again. So I got some drums instantly. Quickly mix it. Getting some Christian Löffler vibes here. It's really practical to have some kind of a drum machine or drum kit loaded up. You have instant inspiration. And it starts getting really cool if you start sidechaining your melodics to the drums. The kick is playing 4 to the floor. That would give it kind of like this EDM pumpy effect, like wood. But what if I were to change the kick pattern, for example? This guy, let's give it a bit of a different groove. Yeah. So what I'll do is group both of these and put on a compressor here. Audio effects, compressor. Open up the sidechain panel over here. This arrow, sidechain input from Digitakt. Post mixer. And now what you'll see is that it is sidechained to the signal. But we only want it to be sidechained by the kick, so we enable the high cut. You can also listen to the signal. Just kind of mess around until you find your sweet spot here. But if you don't want the complicated kick groove, of course, you could just reset it and make sure it plays 4 to the floor. Make sure you get some rough mixing in, maybe with an EQ. Lovely. And again, you can change this at any time. Maybe play a different sequence, record different styles of audio or different clips and get different results. Again, you don't necessarily need the Ambi effect plugin, but I find it just to be quite handy to be able to automate this clock and have this speed move along in increments of -7 halftone steps, -12, -19, etc. Haven't found any other device that does this. So yeah, check it out. It's a lot of fun and have some fun making music. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe. You can grab these sounds and more on LotusTunes, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.